Okay, this is session one of Crossroads Carnival on Broken Dreams. The players have already created their characters. We are getting ready to do character introductions. After we do character introductions, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and do what's called Sideshow Alley, which is how we connect up the characters as well as create our carnival. So I'm going to go in the order of the sheet, and that is going to be starting with. Actually, I'm going to go in reverse order of the sheet. That's going to be starting with Patrick. Please tell us about Irelia, I suppose.
Arlia. I looked it up.
Say it again.
Arlia.
Irelia, the veil between our seer. Introduce her, please, by your picks as well as your pitch card, please.
All right. Um, Arlia, by the way, definitely not her real name. It's a Greek name. It means ethereal, and it was sort of a show name put on. But she's Japanese. She's albino, fairly young. There's a picture down at the bottom of the column. She definitely plays up the paleness and the dramaticness of it for performances and readings. But yeah, I went with haunted look and faded eyes. Origin is chosen by spirits, which is, I think, like from a fairly young age, like the dead just come up and they talk to her. And, dead that are lingering around usually want something, and if they talk long enough, they'll get pestery about it. So they just can see her and know that she's a tool that they could press on, basically.
Like the Long Island Medium.
Exactly like that. That was my character inspiration.
Um, your character's got a gift, right? Good, awesome. I love it. What's your indulgence?
My indulgence is letting the dead in, and it sort of ties in a bit to some of my pitch card questions in that she enjoys slash finds some satisfaction and release in the feeling of letting ghosts in to ride her, and generally they have some unresolved something that they want to do in the world. And sometimes that's nice, and hugging a child and giving a touching speech that you never got to say. But a lot of times that ends up nasty or dirty or bloody or violent.
Nice.
But that feeling of catharsis, that ultimate release of the spirit from everything tethering it to this world, just gives her this feeling that washes away the dirt and the pain.
Awesome. I love it. That's great. Well, so maybe just run through your pitch card and let us just give us a better sense of your character, even better sense of your character.
Yeah. So first one is, how did you end up at the carnival? And I think many of the major turning points in her life, it was something where she let a ghost in, she let it ride her, and hours, days, who knows how much longer later, she came to herself and found herself at the carnival, and I think tried to leave several times and kept being brought back to see performances at this carnival until she sort of took it and stayed. Let's see, why are you fighting on the side of humanity? And I put down, because I've seen what the darkness would make of me. Which is something horrifying and not something I want to be, using the future against people and spirits and knowledge.
Oh, I see. You were fighting on the side of humanity, and well, you basically, by not letting the darkness take you over fully, you are fighting on the side of humanity. Got
right.
It. Okay, good. I like that.
And just to be extra dramatic about things, for my "why don't you give in to your monstrous nature," I've left it at, "I know it isn't the time yet."
Ooh, good. Yeah, that's ominous. Great.
What sinister destiny is coming to claim you? Betrayal and blood from someone I've helped.
Oh. Do you have any idea who that might be yet, or do you want to just develop that as we go?
Maybe it'll come up in the sideshow alley, but I'm also interested in seeing it be like someone that I help over the course of the story that turns
Got
somehow.
it. So okay, good. That's a good note. Because what I find in stories like this, what tends to be the case is you have this person who needs help, but they're so ashamed of needing help that they like lash out,
Hmm.
it's like that kind of thing. And so I can
Hmm.
see a situation where like you're helping somebody who definitely needs your help, but they like hate you for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see that turning bad, and that's what she's seen her end. It's it's either being taken by the darkness or helping people, but being betrayed
Mm,
by one of them.
good.
And then finally, what lingering spirit haunts you and why? And I think it's the ghost of a dead brother who died childhood, like 9 to 12 sort of age. But I he haunts me because I won't ever do what he wants. I
Mm.
won't ever let him in. I won't ever let him find like release or completion from life, because then that would mean that he would go and I'd be completely without him.
Oh, this is a really complicated character and I love it. Yeah, I love the idea of like you're not giving your brother release for selfish reasons. It's pretty great. Good. Maybe at some point in your notes, just name the brother. That'd be helpful.
Yeah, and I'll try and come up with a real name for her too.
Cool. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions about Arlia, the Veil Between? All right. In that case, let's keep going. Bethany, please tell us about, is it Anita or Aneta, I suppose?
I guess it's Anita. I don't know. I picked it off the sheet.
Yeah, I'm down with Anita. Our strong man or possibly strong woman?
So actually that's kind of up in the air. I think that I think they perform as the strong woman
Okay.
because that's more surprising. But like during like while on the road, I think they like present as a man because
Okay.
that's it makes life easier.
Okay.
So like I guess the pronouns are actually she her, but like it just depends on who she's
No, I
talking
love
to at
it.
the
Yeah, I
time,
think it's great. No, I
right?
think it's great.
Yeah. So Anita is is the strong man, strong woman in this case, and actually specifically strong woman because that is part of the act.
The act is strong woman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see, I don't know what else.
Yeah, just
Oh,
go
here we
through
go.
and eyes and origin
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah. So desolate look and distant eyes. I think the desolate look is she just doesn't look especially imposing. And she's older, like I don't know, 50 or so.
Oh, interesting.
She just does not look.
So
Go
she
ahead.
doesn't like look like hugely muscular or anything. Like this is
Right.
oh
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, okay. All right. I like that. Okay, cool.
So really, nobody expects her to like
Yeah, yeah. So
lift
it's like
up a
this.
car,
It's
right?
this. Yeah. This. I like this idea of this like older woman who's like there, and I like the idea of the people coming into the tent and being like, well, "What's she gonna do?" And then yeah. So
Right.
then she lifts
Exactly.
an engine block or something, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Um, the origin is cursed by a bitter rival, and I just really like the idea of my rival cursed me to be extra strong. Like what the I'm still trying to think of why that, like how that makes sense. I'm sure like there will be a way that makes sense.
What if I mean something popped in my brain? You can choose to accept it or not. But what if like they cursed you, um, so that you wouldn't know your own strength and hurt someone?
That actually
That
makes sense because
that could be
that's
kind of
what
interesting.
happened.
Okay, good, awesome, yeah, great.
Like that's why I'm with the carnival because
Ah, good.
yeah, so I'm from like Eastern Kentucky or West Virginia or some area with mining area, and this is 30s. So my son, who was like 15, was a miner, and there was a strike, and all of the crackdown and violence that came with that. And there was a fight, and I killed a police officer.
That is the kind of thing that people don't forget about usually.
Right. Yeah. I had to leave town in a hurry. And while traveling on my own, I came across the carnival and just kind of like followed it until I saw a chance to demonstrate my strength and made sure that people could see it.
Nice. Good. I'm curious. I assume those are some of your pitch card questions. I'm curious. I kind of want to go back to the rival, if I'm being honest. I'm curious, like, because I feel like there's something there that is interesting to me as a GM. Like, who do you think? Who just maybe we don't know why you were cursed by the rival, but I'm curious who the rival was. Like, who was this person? Do you have any thoughts on that yet?
Let's see. I think it was. Who would?
Even just by like their place in your life, like your sister or something or whatever. Yeah.
You know what? Sister could work. Yeah, why not, sister?
I just want like an NPC, a grabby NPC who could roll into the carnival one day, right, to stir shit up. I think that'd be pretty fun.
No, it's totally my sister, and I don't think she intended for things to turn out the way they did.
Okay.
I think it was like a petty grievance, and it went really bad.
Nice, good. And if you're from like mining country, probably your sister went to some kind of like hillbilly hedge sorceress or whatever, right? I don't know anything about. I've been to Dollywood. It's lovely, but that's the extent of my knowledge of that part of the country.
No, there definitely were, and maybe still are, like hillbilly hedge witches.
There's got to be stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool, good. Okay, sorry, continue.
Let's see. I took unflinching rather than man of action because I don't think this character would jump into things without thinking, because of like she did that once. It went very badly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also that's the reason I don't give into my monstrous nature. My pitch card. Let's see what else.
Right.
What about my strength frightens me? It's the lack of control. I don't object to hurting people. Sometimes you need to hurt people, but like I want to be able to control how much I hurt them. And whose innocence did you destroy in your anger is the last question. And my son's, he thinks I'm a monster now.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, this is great. So you're actually kind of like you and your son are sort of like what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. Estranged from each other then.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, I think he's living with the sister who cursed me.
Oh, good. All right, awesome.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so what's your indulgence?
That I am not.
It should be something real dark. It should be dark as fuck.
Right, yeah, I know. Trying to think of something related to like anything else I know about this character so far, which is everything I just said.
Maybe we can tease it out. What's your sister angry about? Like what was the original rivalry about?
She blames me for not taking care of our father when he was dying.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. So
I left all the work to her, and
interesting.
And it was because I did not want to see him die. I couldn't stand to watch that, not because I was just being lazy, but to her, I left all that to her.
Well, I'm curious if there's something to do with your indulgence too. Like, did you maybe is your indulgence possibly connected to how you avoided having to face your father's pending death, like booze or booze or women or men, I suppose, or whoever? What's the? Is there maybe something there? I'm just curious. Like,
yeah, I mean, definitely like avoiding having to face things as I think booze would make sense.
okay.
Make the most sense.
Yeah, and then because I could see like if you really really like tie one on and you don't, and at that point the drunkenness would inhibit your normal restraint, right? And that could be a problem. So
yes,
I
yeah,
think that's interesting. Yeah, that's good. I think that feels like I imagine like most carnies, like, in this setting are probably going to like find solace in moonshine or whatever, but for
right.
you it's probably particularly dangerous, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
if someone like shoots their mouth off and you've both been drinking, you could like cave their skull in or whatever, right? So yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty interesting. Good. Any other pitch card things?
I think I've gone through all of them. Oh, why are you fighting on the side of humanity? I mean, I'm human. What else?
Do you that's interesting. Do you kind of like everyone else sort of, well, so far as I'm guessing about the other two, but like most of the characters, like they sort of like found a home in the carnival because they are supernatural. They accept it that they are supernatural, and they found this home in the carnival. You sort of like came to the carnival as a convenience, and maybe is it possible like you do not like your supernaturalness, like you reject your supernaturalness?
I hate it, and like nobody better say I'm not human.
Got it. Okay, good. Yeah, those are good strings to pull. I love it. Yeah, I think I have a good enough understanding to get going. Anybody else have any questions about Anita?
Like, how strong is the strongest? Like, what's the biggest, heaviest thing we've seen you lift either in a show or in secret?
I think, let's see, what would be we've had trucks get stuck, and I like can lift up the back. I can't lift up the entire truck.
Nice. I like it.
I love it. Cool. Let's go to David and Nuala, daughter of Lamia. Whenever I think of that word Lamia, I think of that movie. That movie Drag Me to Hell, and the Roma witch like stares into the camera and she goes Lamia. Right? So tell us about Nuala.
Yes, certainly. So again, as previously, Nuala, daughter of Lamia, is the stage name. His actual name is Izil. He performs in drag is probably the closest way to put it. The supernatural element makes it a bit more metaphysical than that, but essentially he's a drag performer. He is so I didn't say in the Snake Charmer playbook. So yeah, essentially dances with a serpent on stage as part of his performance. So for his look, I said he's got an exotic look and dangerous eyes. He is of North African descent, Amazighi Berber descent. He's got sort of he's obviously got sort of the dark Mediterranean skin, long, sort of loosely curled hair that he wears quite long, and he has those sort of those really sort of bright green eyes that some sort of North African, Western Asian people have. That's almost like jade green eyes that are both sort of fixate you, but also are just slightly unnerving. So his origin is he is a daughter of Lamia, the mythical snake demon thing of North African and later sort of Greek origin, famed for dragging children off and devouring them. Essentially, he is one of the children that was not devoured. So for and for his indulgence, I have chosen flesh, which sort of, again, like Patrick was saying, I think in the tamest sense, it's quite sensual, likes to feel people close to him, sexual release. As it gets more and more intense, the craving for flesh probably gets more intense and darker, to all the possible extents of that.
Does it become a literal craving for flesh? Or
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Whether or not he has actually indulged before, I'm not sure yet. But it's certainly, it's certainly on the cards. Yeah.
I want to ask about the character's look. So you said that the character essentially performs in drag. Does Nuala appear like, when not performing, is he very slight and feminine? Like,
yes, he does have a fairly sort of feminine appearance. Though when he's not performing, he doesn't particularly play up to that. He wears shirt and trousers, and
dungarees and whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, probably does go for wearing sort of the kohl around the eyes, but yeah.
Okay. Pitch card.
Yeah, so the pitch card. Just flip over to that. So just make sure I don't miss anything. So how did you end up at the carnival? So immediately before joining the carnival, he was he was a drag performer then as well, probably performing in the jazz clubs in Harlem. There was an altercation there. He probably at the least hurt, possibly killed somebody, and much like Anita, fled and ended up at the carnival. So way of fighting on the side of humanity. I think this is probably one of those. It's probably a more selfish motivation here. He's fighting on the side of humanity because he is essentially he desires people. He does not want humanity to be destroyed because he wants to have them still. And that sort of plays into the reason why he hasn't given in to his monstrous nature, because he's seen these sort of excesses that the sort of rapacious greed leads to, seeing the destruction it brings, and he wants to control his hunger, not give in to it, essentially. So what makes your cold blood run hot no matter how much you resist?
Eating people.
I mean, definitely that. I think, again, sort of playing into the sort of the sensual nature. It's the sort of feeling of claws and teeth on skin, whichever way around that be.
I love it.
And finally, what or who has your snake killed that you're keeping hidden? This will actually be the man who first brought him over to the States, Hiram Q. Powers of Powers Oil, an oil tycoon who was
decadent robber baron.
Exactly. Yeah. Who was out in North Africa, sort of, setting up pipelines or whatever. brought him back to the States essentially as a trophy. And eventually, he his snake is a because it's not drawn anywhere else, but it's is a proper Egyptian cobra, which he used to dispose of the man, but obviously it was, I think his cause of death went undiscovered. And he's hoping it stays that way because obviously he's comes from a very powerful.
Do you have
family.
His bones in a trunk or something? Like,
yeah, go on. That sounds fun.
I like the idea of bones in a trunk. There's of course some of you may or may not know about the famous Harlem drag queen, whose name is escaping me at the moment, but she killed, well, we don't know who the guy was. Maybe it was an intruder, maybe it was a lover, but she shot him dead and hid his body for decades in a trunk with her clothes. Dorian Corey was Dracula's name. So I kind of like that sort of like real world sort of touch.
Yeah, I also love having a literal skeleton in the closet. It's always good. Yeah.
Good. I don't think I have any questions. I feel like I have a good understanding here. Anybody else? Okie doke. Brian, please tell us about Bart, the dog-faced boy.
Okay. Yeah, Bart. Scruffy looking with predatory eyes. I think he was pretty young, a teenager, I guess, part of a poor family, and went out to hunt just to provide food for the family. And he was tracking some prey that always seemed like it was just a little bit further, and he ended up tracking it all day until the sun goes down and it's dark, and then whatever it was he was tracking, maybe it wasn't the prey after all, and he gets frightened and is running through the dark and is bit and fires his rifle, maybe hitting whatever it was, who knows. And after a lot of confusion and stumbling in the dark and a lot of pain and a lot of blood, at some, I guess, wakes up the next day and the sun's up, goes home to his family, and they are just uneasy around him. There's something changed and off about him, and he's eventually compelled to just leave. There's maybe an incident where, like, a younger sister is like running and playing, and all of a sudden he's like chasing her and scares her, that kind of thing. And then I think he's homeless for a while, and then is just his wandering path crosses with this carnival's path, and he's sniffing around the outskirts and is seen and recognized, and like, come on, this is where you belong. You're one of us.
In terms of Bart's physical appearance, I mean, in actual freak shows, like this person would have had that. There's like a particular condition where like you have like hair growing from your face, right? Like, is it like that, or is it more like you transform a little bit and you become kind of feral looking? Like, what's the dial of in terms of your day-to-day appearance?
I mean, I think he's got the face covered in hair, and it probably, he was fairly young and just starting to grow facial hair when, like, This first happened to him, and it just didn't stop.
I like the idea of him like making a wish in the mirror that he could grow a beard, and then suddenly a few days later he gets bit by an animal, and his wish is granted. No, good, awesome. Is there anything else from the pitch card that you want to tell us about?
Okay, let's see. I think he's got a fair bit of like self-loathing. I think that's why he is fighting on the side of humanity. Is he's internalized this rejection from his family, and he kind of agrees that he rejects that part of himself, that this thing that's not part of himself too. And I think what do you chase, even though it will be your death? I think he would like to hunt down that beast that bit him. I think maybe there's a thought in the back of his mind that maybe somehow he could, if he finds it, he could cure himself or regain his humanity. And what does your transformation cost you each time you change? I think each time that starts to feel more and more like the real form, and the human form is less comfortable and less natural.
Nice. What's your indulgence?
I'm trying to come up with it. I don't know how to say it simply, but it's that predatory instinct. It's less about the kill, but it's the inspiring fear and the chase.
Interesting. So, well, I mean, let's kind of drill down on it a little bit. I mean, so it's the thrill of the hunt, I guess, or the thrill of the chase. I'm into that. It's an indulgence. If it's an indulgence, it's something that should probably cause some kind of problem for you within the carnival and without. So what do you think it is about, like, when you're engaged in this like hunt, that is problematic?
I mean, if I'm scaring off the rubes, that's bad for business, I
Okay,
guess.
okay, good. Okay, got it. So you like you like chase down rubes. Okay, good. I like that. So I like the idea of like the carnival travels places, and occasionally you get out of hand and you like murder some folks. Is that fair? I mean, like, yeah, okay, good. Because you guys are the darkness, right? You're the darkness pushing back against the darkness. Good. Okay, so that I would probably editorialize that to be like hunting hunting people. The hunt is your indulgence. Good. Does anyone else have any questions about Bart? Okie doke. Why don't we go ahead and take a 10-minute break? During that break, if you want to be thinking about your Sideshow Alley questions now that you've met all the characters, that'd be great. For the Sideshow Alley, we don't have to do all of them. You can just do, I think each playbook has like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or something. You can choose to do as 1, 2, or 3 as you wish. And also, if you want to start thinking about the carnival itself, the carnival creation, which we're also going to do, is on page somewhere
34.
34, yeah, page 34 of the PDF, 33 of the text. There's a little list of questions. I will probably ask some of those, and others, if you have a great idea for, you can kind of like pitch it or whatever. So be thinking about those as well. But we'll come back in about 10 minutes, okay? Right. Guess we're waiting on David. We'll get going once he gets back. Cool. Let's do Sideshow Alley. So you each have a few questions on your Sideshow Alley portion of your playbook that you can pose to other characters, or you should ask the question. Anybody who wants to jump in there and take that one, they can. So you don't have to do all of them. You can do as many as you wish. But ideally, at least everyone will be connected up to at least one other character via this process. So and I think we'll just go one at a time, just in order until everyone's done. And so let's cut back over to Arlia, the Veil Between. Yeah, just pose the question, and then if you have an idea, like you can go ahead and like pitch it to that person. But otherwise, if somebody wants to just jump in there, they can do it. So Arlia, what do you got?
So yeah, this first one I do have sort of an idea on. And it's, whose future are you always trying to keep one step ahead of, and why don't you tell them? And Brian, I thought that might be neat to tie into your desire to find that beast that transformed you again. Because
Sure.
I think I'm certain from my visions that will kill you, that will lead to your death. And so I think I've like actively worked to keep you from finding that creature in at least one or two circumstances.
Well, that's terrific. So if we had a situation where that creature like showed up to the carnival, would you like try to intervene to make sure that Bart did not learn
Definitely.
that? Okay,
like
cool.
I think I know what they look like, and
Mhm.
I've whether I've talked to them face to face before, I've interfered with them before.
Mhm. And so this suggests that they're probably like some kind of shapeshifter or werewolf, right? Is that the idea?
It seems like it's
Yeah.
whatever made Bart.
Yeah. I mean, if Brian has any thoughts on that, I'm open to it. But I like the idea of like a sort of malevolent shapeshifter type character. So, good. That's great. Awesome. Anita, do you want to go ahead and do one?
Sure. My first one is, who do you view as yours and how do you show them? I think this has to be Bart because he reminds me of my son.
Perfect.
And I wonder if I'm in on Arlia's preventing him from finding this creature.
I'm totally down for that.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah. It's like a, hey, we have an NPC, we have a PC NPC triangle, right? So good. Well, so it sounds like, I mean, this creature is, I might take this week before we begin session 2 to think about it, but I feel like we're going to have to, like, this creature's got to be part of the story, right? This character is like, becoming important. Anita, do you think, or I should say, what is it about Bart that reminds you of your son?
I think like he kind of comes from a similar background, and he's like not much older. I think it might be no more than that.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Well, I'd be curious. I just want to keep going on this a little bit. Bart. Well, so first of all, Anita, do you behave in a sort of like maternal or affectionate way with Bart because of that, or?
I think I am kind of protective of him, but maybe not so overtly.
Okay, so Bart may not like suspect that then.
Right. I think.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how he would take it. So because of that, I think I'm like a little less obvious about it than I would otherwise be.
Well, so Bart, I mean, maybe you haven't picked up on the sort of like the idea that Anita views you as a son figure, but perhaps you have picked up on the fact that Anita is kind of protective of you. How does Bart process that? Like, how does it make you feel?
Yeah, I think Bart would kind of crave any kind of affection in that way, but might interpret any hesitancy as fear of him.
Oh, good. So that's pretty good. So maybe like that's pretty good. Yeah, like that's like a classic misunderstanding situation, right? So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm just trying not to embarrass him, and he's interpreting that as like I'm, afraid of him.
You're afraid of him. Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Nuala, do you want to do one?
Sure. Actually, the one I'm going to ask first, because this is one I think that's like didn't automatically scream out someone that seemed appropriate for it. So if anyone thinks they've got it, if anyone thinks it would work for them, let me know. But otherwise, I'll move on to another. Who acts like they own you, and how do you show them they don't? Does anyone think they're likely to do that? Cool.
This is where we might learn something about characters that we didn't know before.
I mean, it's possible for Bart, but my first question is, who here do you hunt, crave, and want to taste more than anything in the world?
Oh, so those are pretty simpatico then.
So,
I mean, is this like a sort of like, for Bart, is this possibly like a sort of repressed homosexuality, or is it like a like is it something like that? Like it's a fascination that works on a whole spectrum of desire, or
yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Bart feeling very possessive of Azalea. Cool. Maybe not even who knows how much he understands why.
Yeah, you don't understand why necessarily. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Cool.
Good.
In which case, then, I will say that, but acts like they own me, and I show them that I don't by essentially maybe kind of leading him on a little bit, but always shutting him down.
Awesome. Good. Well, I was going to have us go back around in reverse order, and Bart, you've already kind of done one with the who do you hunt and pursue? Or
who here do you hunt, crave, and want to taste more than anything in the world?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think I have any follow-ups on that. I think it's a good one. And so, yeah, that sounds great to me. Why don't we go ahead and just go in reverse order then, and then Nuala, give us the other one, or another one if you have it.
Either who's part of your pack, and what did they do to earn your loyalty, or who threatens the safety of the carnival, and how do you plan to stop them?
They're both pretty good. Anyone want to jump on one of those?
I could see, like, if Arlia has like lied to me to, like, unbeknownst to me, protect me, I could distrust her because of that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, where you can just like smell dishonesty on me sometimes. You can sense that I'm hiding things, but you just can't figure out what.
He doesn't know what you're hiding. There's a lot of like Three's Company going on here. I feel like a lot of misunderstandings, which is good. So if I'm hearing this correctly, Bart smells dishonesty on you, but he doesn't realize that dishonesty is you protecting him.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So which one is that then, Bart, that you're going to give to Arlia?
Threatens the safety of the carnival, and how do you plan to stop them?
Oh yeah.
How do I plan to stop them? Well, I'm just trying to dig up some dirt and get you tossed out or something, I guess, or
Maybe you're just keeping an eye on Arlia. Maybe you are.
Yeah, I just
trying to figure out what she's up to. I guess
she's guilty of something. I just need to find out what, and then
Mhm.
Like trying to find some proof you can bring to the others in the carnival.
Of your duplicity. Good. I like that. Fantastic. Let's just keep going down in reverse order then. Nula.
Yeah, so I think my next one is going to be who tastes like fear and how do you frighten them deliberately? I think this is going to be Anita. I think I can sort of pick up on the fact that Anita isn't comfortable with her darker side. And I think the way I kind of play to that is to kind of both act up my own sort of creepiness, essentially, around her, and also kind of, I think, sort of needle her, tempt her a bit to sort of unleash her.
No, that definitely works. So I think Anita, like, prior to the whole cursing and killing a cop thing, was a fairly hot-tempered, violent person, and like, her sister went to the witch and was like, teach my sister a lesson, and that seemed like the obvious way to do it. So I think that, like, yeah, having to keep her temper in check now is going to be interesting.
Nice. Is there any other part of that particular one, or was that all of it, David?
No, I think that's good. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, then, Anita, do you have another one you want to do?
Yeah. So I have who is a friend you believe would never betray you, and who did you last put in their place, and how bad was the damage? I think that Arlia, is that her name? Is a friend who would never betray me. At least, I don't think she would.
I like that. I think that fits.
What do you? I mean, we have the obvious answer of Bart, but like, what do we? Is there anything else that like might have informed that? Like, why Arlia is so, or why Anita perceives Arlia to be so loyal?
I think that I didn't tell her anything, but she knew that I killed someone, and she has been like, and she told, like, she told me this and was very like understanding about it, and promised that she wasn't going to tell anybody.
Maybe the cops even showed up, and Arlia was like, Arlia knew what it was about and like stopped them or
yeah. I think I got Anita out of the way, like made sure they never caught up to her.
Yeah. And that's when you probably shared like that you knew what was going on with Anita. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. I like that. Cool, awesome. And then you further bonded with this whole Bart situation. So yeah. That's great. Well then, Arlia, what's your next one?
So I think I can cement that with who comforts you when the darkness of your visions leaves you fearful and sleepless. And I think that's definitely Anita. I think that's how she first found out about Bart. It's probably part of why she trusts me, because I just like spill these visions to her, and I don't know. I think she's the one that I really let see me as fragile and like not able to handle the weight of what's going on in my head.
Awesome. I love it. Do you want to go ahead and do your third one as well, Arlia?
Sure.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that because like you protected me first, and like therefore we're kind of on even footing if you let me see you vulnerable now?
I think so. Yeah, I think that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I like a very sort of like familial relationship there.
Yeah, that works. Cool.
That's interesting.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, so do you want to do your third one?
Yeah. So I think sticking with the theme of, ghosts haunting from the past, who has a malicious spirit following them, and why are you helping the spirit?
Isn't the dead oil man?
Yeah. I think it's the murder rap. That's the one that Nula's running from.
Yeah, well, because Nula has the bones in the trunk.
Yeah.
So are you like possibly in contact with Ebenezer Hollingsworth the Third or whatever this guy's name is? Like, what is the?
Yeah, I think so, because I think he has a tendency to, like, if he doesn't get his way, he causes problems with the cops. Like, just coincidentally, he manages to draw them in every time. And so I'm trying to do enough for him to satisfy his lingering needs and send him on to the next life, but he is like an endless pit of need.
Yeah, we need to name this character, and I think it definitely needs to be something like, J, initial J something, right? Like the third or whatever, or the fourth. It's got to be something like that, right? Yeah, at some point we need to name this character, but I like it. It's this like this vengeful spirit, right? Who is obsessed with Nula but hates Nula, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good. That'll be fun. Well, continuing back in the original order, Anita, do you want to do your third one?
Let's see. My third one is, who did you last put in your place, and how bad was the damage? I mean, it would make the most sense for that to be Nula, right?
Yeah.
It was always like needling me. But I don't want it to, I don't want to have, like, the damage to have been so bad that, like, she is now afraid of me and doesn't do that anymore, because I think that's fun to play out. So I think what happened is, like, I didn't hurt him at all. I think I just, like, I knocked something down, or I took it out on an inanimate object, but in a way to, like, show them, like, hey, don't do this because I'm dangerous. I don't think that lesson sunk in.
So you smashed something up so that Nula could see you do it.
Yes.
I'm sure you were making eye contact with Nula the whole time. Right. Well, so what was it about? Like, Nula, what did you do?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what. I think it was kind of the double whammy sort of thing that I think that Anita had been drinking at the time, and I kind of went in with the whole, it's not really the drink you want. It's the freedom it gives you, sort of thing, and yeah. So I sort of played on both of those, sort of thing.
Yeah, good. Awesome. I love it. Well, so how does it make you feel? I guess, like, that's the other question I have is, like, according to the Sideshow Alley question, like, this had a profound impact on you.
Yeah. So I think it has, again, it's kind of had a sort of double impact. I think on the one hand, I think it has worn me off a bit. I know, at least to a limited extent, what she's capable of, and I don't want to get beaten to death in a no-count town sort of thing in the middle of nowhere. But the fact that I was able to get to her shows that sort of she can be like that she can kind of give rein to that darkness in her.
Get got.
Yeah.
Are you kind of jealous of the fact that Anita like has these close relationships with Bart and Arlia? Like, do you, to some degree, is your behavior toward Anita rooted in the fact that you like also want Anita to
I think
to be motherly, to be familial?
I think there's definitely an element of that. Yeah.
Good. All right, continuing on. Bart, do you want to do your third one?
Who is part of your pack and how did they earn your loyalty?
May not be anyone based off how it's gone so far. I don't know if...
Yeah, it's just I guess whether or not he feels about. Yeah, it's probably not anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it, like based off everything we know so far, like maybe Arlia, but I don't know. It doesn't really feel like the relationship at this point. And I definitely don't think that's the case with Anita, because you've already kind of made it seem like you think Anita doesn't like you, right? Or is like scared of you. And then Nuala, I feel like that's just the dynamic is different than that, right? So yeah, I think that maybe there's no good answer on that one, which is okay. That's fine. It was the last one. So cool. All right. So are there any more that we missed?
Yeah, I've just got my last one, which I think I will do because I think it's a bit more connection there. My last one is who do you turn to when you need to feel loved, and how do you pay them? So because originally I was going to do that one for Anita and then the fear one for Alia, but I think they're more interesting the other way around. I think the reason that I go to Alia when I need to feel loved is probably actually because most of the people who have ever shown me affection are dead. There may or may not be a correlation there, but so I think that I do. Sometimes I'll go to her for consultations, seances, whatever. As for the payment, I'm not sure. Do you have any ideas, Patrick? What you would want in return? I suppose is.
I think it's not a like obvious payment sort of thing, but I think you like when you come to her and when you're seeking this like consolation from the dead. I think maybe you sort of drop the whole public act thing, like. It's not like everything's totally a lie, but it's I'm imagining in that drag sense you turn everything up to 11 when you're around people. So I think maybe you just drop that and are like completely normal with her. Because one of the things I see her having to deal with, she's Japanese and Middle America in the 30s. She's an albino on top of that. Like there's a lot of very like objectification of her from a lot of people, and I think you just being normal around her when you're not normal around anyone else, it's something that she craves and doesn't get often.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. Good. Were there any more Sideshow Alley questions? Okay. In that case, we're going to turn to the creating the carnival questions. We're not going to do all these. Some of them I'm going to save for myself for this week as I'm thinking about the initial gameplay. But I am going to pose a few of them to you all. And I'm just going to direct questions to specific people. I think that'll be the easiest way of doing this. And I'm going to start with Patrick, Arlia. Who is the manager of your carnival and what's unnatural about them?
So just trying to think of a name. Harrison. I think that's the manager's name. And I think what's unnatural about him is that he's in that like sort of ringmaster, red and black and white coat and tails sort of top hat look. But he is in that all the time, 100%, all of the time. It's perfect and shining and immaculate and clean, and as far as anyone can tell, the exact same outfit always. And that's just like, that's not a possibility on the dusty road in the 30s. That's just not a thing.
Well, I like the idea of possibly he always looks immaculate. He always looks like this. He never wears the grime of Depression era Kansas. And I like the idea of maybe he also is a little unstuck, like he doesn't know how grim things are, Like to him, every new town is Paris in the 1920s, right? Like everything is there's always, everything is grand and everything is like, like
Nice.
Like it's yeah, like I think he almost like lives in a fantasy, right?
Yeah, I like that feel of him just being untouched by the world around
Right,
us.
exactly. Exactly. I think that's really great. Which makes him a completely alienating character, right? And a character that none of you can really like confide in or whatever. But but also maybe in his tent, maybe things are better. Who knows? So I like that. I'm gonna make a note real quick. Good. Next question is, I'm going to skip the second one and go to the third one. I'm going to pose the third one to David. Why don't you answer this one? Which town did you visit last and how did it go south?
Sure. So I think the town was a small farming town, but it was probably one of those like towns that had like an agricultural adjacent industry as part of it. So whether it had like I'm trying to think, like a bigger than just like a sort of a grain mill sort of thing, but like some sort of refining, maybe like a molasses refinery or something like that. Sort of industrial type. That was what the town had been centered around. In fact, it was probably because I was listening to think about this other way. Yeah, it was a molasses refinery that was primarily produced stuff for the alcohol industry. So yeah, since Prohibition,
So
it's
we're in Prohibition right now.
yeah.
So it's gone under since Prohibition.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they grew like barley or hops or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think actually maybe that was
How to Go South.
Yeah, so I think
Presumably the town succumbed to the darkness, right? That's the idea.
Yeah. So I think that even though sort of, even though the town has sort of lost its industry to Prohibition, the people there are sort of like true believers, and they've sort of become almost kind of zealously puritanical sort of thing. And they, saw our performances as being debauched and yeah, what have you. We probably, obviously, we don't keep a dry camp, so I think they sort of I think we probably did like literally get sort of chased out with pitchforks and the like.
So super religious zealots chased you out. I'd like to go a little harder there. Did they maybe like hurt someone from the carnival?
Yeah, sure. I think yeah, I think they I'm trying to think. I think maybe they like severely beat one of the, just trying to think who it would be. Maybe like someone like a trapeze artist or a gymnast or something. So not only did sort of so they didn't actually kill them, but they've essentially, they can't work in their former role anymore.
It's a contortionist.
Yeah.
So now that person, we'll name them later, but that person has to now do other work in the carnival. They can't do their act anymore. Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Let's keep going. Anita, who in the carnival is utterly human, and how do you keep them safe?
It was that poor guy who got beat up, and I obviously failed.
Okay. Let's name them. James. Is James all right?
It works.
Right. Awesome. And Brian. What is about to break down in the carnival? Because this will probably be an immediate problem when we start.
What is about to break down? Well, I mean, what do we use to transport everything? How do we?
Probably just trucks, I guess. I mean, you probably have like trucks that pull the trailers and things, right?
Okay.
Could be as simple as just there's a truck about to break down.
Yeah, just the biggest truck, the workhorse that transports the biggest equipment. Yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Take a look at these questions again. The final question, I'm going to actually there's a couple of these I'm going to answer and I'll kind of like work into the story next week. But the final question, which is where is your tent? What color is it? And what do they call you on your poster? That's a great one. And I think we're going to answer that one in play. Like, I think the first time we see your performance is when I want to like have the answer to like, what does your tent look like? What does your space look like? So I think that'll be good for that. And otherwise, I think I can handle the rest. Good. So we've only got 20 minutes left, so we'll just wrap it here. But we'll start next week. We'll start next week straight away with just probably a daytime scene where you guys are trying to solve some kind of problem, and then we'll kind of talk to some townies and all that kind of stuff, and then see how it goes. So by all means, ruminate and marinate on all these things that we have discussed today. I'm excited about your characters. I feel like there's a lot of good, interesting material there to play with, but I don't think I have any other questions of anyone. Does anybody else have any questions? Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Character creation session 0 is sometimes not super fun. It can be a little like kind of long and draggy, so I apologize for that. But in this game, it pays off. It pays off to have this nice. It's like Monster Hearts. Like Monster Hearts, it pays off when you spend a lot of time like really developing the classroom and all that stuff. So, cool. I'm gonna stop this.